Good morning, folks, and welcome to the Gallant Views Morning News for Wednesday, the 21st of August 2024. My name is Colin, and I'm delighted to be joined today by David. How are you doing, mate?
Not bad at all, sir. Not bad. Thanks for having me back. How's you?
Aye, all right, David. Last couple of days, me and Jack have been speaking about how it's been nice that Rangers haven't been up to any nonsense. They've not done anything too wrong, so and
It's a pleasant change.
it is. How's the last couple of weeks been for you, Rangers wise? Also been a couple of weeks since we spoke. Are you up or down with the
um,
whole situation?
Very much kind of. It's not been like a mental roller coaster or anything for me. I've kind of. I always just try and kind of keep the head, and like I'll have a. I'll have a mindset when, say, for instance, like the transfer window shuts or, certain things are completed. But usually my belief is that there's no point in complaining until you know exactly what the story is. But at the same time, there's no point in getting too over enthusiastic either. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. But no, it's been all right. You know what I mean? It's we're plodding away.
I mean, no getting too high or too low, and I don't know, waiting to see how it all finishes. That seems far too sensible for
It
um
does,
for
mate. I
for the
know.
Rangers fans.
Sensible is not usually a word that applies to me, but I think the most. I think the only thing I don't want to be, and I don't ever want to be, because I've never been before, but the biggest thing that I fear is becoming like indifferent. I think if you become indifferent, you're as well just giving up. You know what I mean? You've got to have some sort of emotion, whether it's anger, whether it's ridiculous anger, or whether it's like complete over enthusiasm, or whatever. There's got to be something there. But see, as soon as you're just like whatever, you know what I mean? I think that's the biggest problem. You know what I mean?
Aye, true. So what's been happening in the last 24 hours then? Quite a bit to get through.
Aye.
Um, the news broke late yesterday, David, that former Rangers player
Mhm.
Abdallah Sima looks to have
Mhm.
attracted interest for Stade Brest. So
Mm.
obviously Rangers were reportedly keen on taking Abdallah Sima permanently from
Mhm.
Brighton,
Mhm.
and um, it looks as if he's going ahead to France now.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on this?
It's. I must admit that's disappointing. I thought as a club, we should really have been pursuing that one early on. The manager himself, like usually with rumours and stuff, or just general theories, we should sign this person, sign that person. But the manager is on record this, pre-season saying that him and Sima, they speak regularly, and he would be keen on a return. The fact that we've not acted on it, well, supposedly, if he does officially sign for Brest, I am disappointed at that. I thought that was a no-brainer. The player wants to come. The player would make a difference. He would not be a passenger. He would be he would be a proper addition. We don't appear to have acted on it. I don't know what's been on behind the scenes. I know that it's one in, one out at the moment, but I thought Sima could have maybe been an exception.
I think that's it, one in, one out. And the
Hmm.
manager said time and time again that I think he described Sima as one of his boys.
Mm.
So we
Yes.
know
Aye.
we know the manager's thoughts on it.
Hmm.
It might just be poor timing
Hmm.
with this coming about, eh?
Mm. Yeah, it could be. I don't want to, point fingers or throw blame, because, I mean, we know what the financial situation is, as we say, one in, one out. If Brest have came in for him, then, he's not going to say, I just need to wait on Rangers punting Cantwell first, or, Hadji, or,
Mhm.
getting somebody at the door. So if he's can hang fire for a while, and I'll see how it is, that's not a realistic, it's not a realistic prospect. The boy's got to play football, you know what I mean? Regardless of whether it's here or somewhere else, you know, the boy wants to play football. So it's a timing issue. But yeah, early doors, I just thought that. As I say, no throwing blame anywhere, but I'm just disappointed that it's not one that we had pursued, you know, kind of early on, because it was, I say, it was a no-brainer. Yeah, the phrase that you used, he's one of his boys. You know what I mean? I just thought it was. I did think it was going to happen, but again, talking about, you know, getting your hopes up or, you know, being too pessimistic, it was just one of the wait and see. But it's a shame when you see him going somewhere else.
It is, and kind of what you said there, touching on that, I don't blame Sima for moving elsewhere and, you know, going to play football, because he's waited all summer, and it's, you know, he has to go make a decision. He can't just wait to the 31st of
That's what I
August
mean.
to see if Rangers are going to. I have no ill wish towards him, so good luck, and it's just one of the things.
You never
Um,
know.
there you
We
go.
might actually, you know, we might be here maybe, you know, 6 months, a year. I think what Brighton have done is he only had 12 months on his contract, but I think what Brighton have done is activated the year's extension so that
Yeah.
Brest can take him for a year, and then they'll need to pay a fee. So Brighton will get a fee and Brest will get a loan player for a year. So, I mean, that might suit us, you know what I mean, further down the line, but we'll see, because, you know, teams move on and priorities change and all that. So maybe the opportunity's been and gone, but if it hasn't, I would like to think that there's a window there for the future.
Yeah, it might just be a short-term break instead of a long-term split up. So you never know. Never say never. It's interesting because when this news broke, maybe late yesterday afternoon, within about 5-6 hours, Rangers were linked with two other left wingers, and these links were interesting because they're coming from the selling club's country. So the first one we'll talk through is Josip Brekalo. So Croatian left winger, 26-year-old. He's got around maybe 30 odd caps for Croatia. Apparently, he's set to leave Fiorentina in the next few days, and Rangers have asked about the situation. So, any particular thoughts on this boy, Davey?
I think he would certainly. I think he would certainly be a good addition. You look at his experience. I mean, Wolfsburg. He's got 129 appearances. His current club. He's maybe not a mainstay, but he's. I mean, he's a established player. I mean, as you say, 30 odd caps. He's. I think he looks the part. It's interesting though, because we want a Fiorentina player, and Fiorentina apparently want one of ours in Hadji. So I don't know if some sort of business can be done there. I'm speaking hypothetically, obviously, but I mean, it is interesting, and as you say, these links are, you know, they're solid, because they're coming from, you know, a kind of reputable source in their own countries. So I would be all for it if it was to happen, but I mean, as usual, you just have to wait and see. But it's certainly an interesting shout. I'd be all for it if it was to happen.
Aye, and it's Italian journalist Nicolo Schiera who posted it late last night, who works for Viola News. So they're credited with breaking this news. His goal return for Wolfsburg is probably the most impressive. So
Yeah.
129 games, 22 goals and 19 assists. So we're talking
hmm
about 1 in 3
hmm
games he contributes to a goal, and obviously he's played for Torino, Fiorentina, Stuttgart, and then split in Zagreb as well in Croatia. So spent a long time in the top flight in Germany and Italy. I'm going to ask you what one you'd prefer out of the two. I'll maybe come in the next one first before I
Yes.
give you my judgment. The second player we were linked with is Thiago Gouveia of Benfica. So this came from Diario de Transfer in Chaos. Portuguese news outlet, and it's the journalist uh, Bruno Andard. So I don't claim to know anything about these sources other than they are Portuguese. But um, Tiago Gouveia, he's a young boy. He's only 23 years old. He's got 4 years left in his deal, and he's primarily played for Benfica over the last season or so. Before that, it was Benfica B and Benfica under 23s, and they did have a loan spell too. So apparently that they'd be looking for a fee of around 7 and 8 million euros, and we are apparently interested alongside Villarreal and Anderlecht. I don't know if we're not paying the money for Abdallah Sima. I don't know if we're paying that money for uh, unknown entity for Benfica, Davy.
Mm, that's the thing. I mean, I think he's undoubtedly a player with potential, but I mean, let's be honest, the Rangers in its current form, or most forms, we're not pissing away 7 or 8 million on potential. However, I do think he looks a player. The interest in him, it's not from kind of lower level teams at Villarreal, etc. I think he's more of a prospect rather than somebody you can say, right, he'll slot in, he'll hit the ground running, and he'll make a proper contribution. However, 23, you would wonder maybe, should he have more experience than the B team? Or, I know he was on loan at Estoril, and fair enough, that's experience, etc. But you wonder maybe, 23, should he be slightly more established than what he is? But if the fee reported, is correct, then I don't think that's happening.
No, agreed. I don't see us. I don't see us paying that, and if we were going to pay it, we would have done it for Sima. I think his goal return and assist return. So 30 games for Benfica, 5 goals, 5 assists. So similar to Brekalo, he is a 1 in 3 winger. Personally, I would prefer Brekalo, and I think Brekalo would be more likely for the fact that Fiorentina will demand less a fee, but what he brings is experience,
Yes.
which we vastly need. You got any preference?
Mine's is Brekalo from a footballing perspective. From a business perspective, which I suppose nowadays we need to think about, it would be the other boy. But because 23 would only improve, make a profit, right? That's fine. But in terms of the only thing we really care about is the footballing side, and for me, it's Brekalo every day.
Yeah, I think we've got enough potential in the squad. We need to add
Yes.
the here and now, and
Mm-hmm.
we've paid a lot of money for our potential this
Mm.
summer. So I think we need to wait and see how they come to fruition and just start winning stuff for now.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, you're right. It's I like the fact that we're buying, young guys with potential, and looking at the longer term. But Brekalo's only 26. It's not as if we're signing a 34, 35-year-old and hoping for the best. He's 26. At 26, he's potentially going to give us a good 3-4 years, and he's got experience behind him as well. So, he could easily just come in, and I mean, obviously he'll need that bedding in period like just about any player needs, but he's not like he's not one that you would need to treat with kid gloves, as the saying goes. Like maybe off the bench, some B team time, kind of treating them, carefully. Brekalo, I think, he would go into the first team and make an immediate difference.
I think he'd be very similar to Cherney
Yes.
in terms of what he would bring. So that'd be no bad. Again, you said at the start of the pod, like, you can't get too up nor down, you can't get ahead of yourself. Here's me got Brekalo on the rotation already for Saturday. So we need to calm down. onto the B team then. On the subject of potential, they were playing last night. They had a friendly against Queens Park,
Mm.
and they started very, very well. They were winning 2-1 at half time with goals for Alfie Hutchinson and Josh Gentles, but they ended up losing 3-2. So again, it's just a friendly. Like we really just want these players, getting experience and getting ready for the competitive games in the SPFL Trust Trophy. Other news that came out for the B team last night was that Bailey Rice and Leighton Grant have been called up to the Scotland under-29 squad for their games against Azerbaijan, the Faroe Islands, and the Netherlands. Good news for Bailey Rice and Leighton Grant, I suppose.
Definitely. For what I gather as well, I must admit I don't know too much about Leighton Grant, but I know that some of other guys on the podcast are, really clued up on the B team, and I mean they seem to speak highly. But from my own perspective, I do know Bailey Rice obviously, and I'm very pleased for him that he's get the call up. In terms of that result last night, it's if it was the first team and losing in a friendly, then it's not really, it's no what you would call a disaster, is it? But the fact that these young guys are getting called up to, what is a reasonable level, let's be honest, then it's encouraging for them, and I'm pleased for them, but it's good for the club as well. Bailey Rice in particular is one that I had high hopes for. No ridiculous putting pressure in the boy, like, he's going to be fucking mega star, whatever. But no, I had high hopes for him, like transitioning into the first team. The fact that he's got this call up is, all signs point to that happening eventually.
With Bailey Rice, because we signed up for Motherwell at the start of last season, and there's been so much conversation about him. It's easy to forget he's not 18 yet. He turns
I know.
18 in October.
Mhm.
So we don't need to force him into the team right now, and just put too much pressure on it. It has to be when it's right. But
Mhm.
he's not by any means past it.
Well, I think a lot of the time is the reason a lot of the fans get excited when you get a prospect like that is it's been a while since we had, a proper breakthrough player. We've had plenty that have came through and get into the first team and then kind of either, dwindled away or ended up elsewhere. For whatever reason. So I mean, it's not putting pressure on him to say I've got high hopes for him. It's just like it's more like high, him personally, rather than he's going to do this for Rangers, going to do that. It's more just for him personally. He seems quite a kind of what's the word, like a grounded young guy. He seems to be quite humble and just gets on with it. But also he's got serious potential. So yeah, I think a lot of the time we maybe pin our hopes on like the kind of what's the word, like the kind of next big thing, just because we've not had that for a while, like that player properly emerging. We're not going to get, say, what a Barry Ferguson anytime soon. You know what I mean? It's, that's not going to happen. But at the same time, it's just, a kind of. I think we probably do think, this. A lot of people think maybe, this boy's going to make it. This boy's the next Rangers legend. And then by the time they're 19, 20, they're in the second division or something.
Exactly. It's difficult because there's always the argument you never know their true ability until you play them as well. But
That's it,
again,
mate.
it's getting the timing. But he was on the bench at the weekend, and I think Clermont. I mean, look at the impact Ross McCausland had at the weekend. I think Clermont has seen the value of players like McCausland, Robbie Fraser, and I think they will get more opportunities than they did with previous managers. So, I suppose watch this space. And the last bit of news for today, then, just something off field. to finish up the news of today. NASA 2025 have confirmed their first special guest, and that is 9 in a row legends Mark Haley and John Brown. So they'll be the first two guests to go along to Kissimmee in Florida in the 12th of June next year. So, just a wee update that, NASA preparations are starting for anybody that's interested to start getting booked up. Again, it's the 12th to 15th of June 2025. Big Mark and Big John will be there. David, I've always fancied NASA. I've not got around to doing it yet. Is it ever been something that you've thought about?
Yeah, I've been to two.
Have you?
Yeah. They were excellent. They're kind of, I mean, like, there's a lot going on around the main kind of, the big event itself. There's loads of events, there's loads of things, and, you can't do them all. A lot of people do, but a lot of people, say, for instance, this one coming up in Kissimmee, whatever, a lot of people, they'll go to the main event and then they'll spend the rest of it golfing, you know what I mean? But yeah, I've been to two. They're well organised. They are. I mean, you just meet people from everywhere. It's amazing, and also like catch up with people that you know already, who perhaps live in North America, whatever. So I would recommend it to anybody. If you can afford it, then go. But go and enjoy the Rangers side of it, and just make a holiday of it. You know what I mean?
Where were they held when you went?
One was California, Redondo Beach, and the other was Las Vegas. Bizarrely, the Las Vegas one was not reserved, but it was not like mental for me. It was actually quite enjoyable. Just like kind of cutting about Las Vegas and doing ridiculous touristy things, you know what I mean? I really enjoyed that. And the Redondo one was excellent as well. One funny story for that one was the bar that everybody congregated at. By the time that the convention had finished, the owners of the bar just locked the doors and pissed off somewhere else because they'd made a fortune. I think staff had turned up in the morning, like, what's the fuck's going on? And the owners had I think it was a South African couple. They were nice, they were really sound, but I think they were like, yes, and just buggered off somewhere else.
Fair play to them. Fair play to them.
Aye.
Well, so if that's no sold you on a trip to Kissimmee next year, folks, maybe Mark Haley and John Brown will, but no, good to see the organising well underway. So, David, that'll bring us to an end for this morning. Just a shout out to the listeners, what's happening on the podcast. So, for the Patreon and YouTube members, the two Davies dropped last night, giving their take on all things on and off the pitch. There was a fair bit of chat about the Steelworks too on their pod, and over the next couple of days, the Premier League pod will drop, as well as they look ahead to round 2 of the Premier League and talk about how the fantasy football teams got on at the weekend. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow morning with the news, and tomorrow night we have the live stream coming up. So plenty of content coming your way. If you can find a like, a subscribe, a share, much appreciated. Davey, thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
It certainly is, bud. Likewise. Very much enjoyed it, as always. I think I'm back on tomorrow morning with you. I'm not sure. I'll check the schedule, whatever. But regardless, I'll see you soon enough, buddy. But thank you again.
Nope, pleasure's all mine, mate. And to everybody listening, have a cracking Wednesday, halfway towards the weekend. Take care.